Let's kick off, though, by looking back at what was a really eventful couple of days for the British sides in Europe. Chris, I'm going to spare you having to go over Rangers' exit last night. You did enough of that on Sky Sports News, unless there's anything else you want to get off your chest.
Absolutely nothing to add to that, apart from it was a stonewall penalty kick.
OK.
And it's nice to see I've got over it.
Instead, let me ask you to focus on Manchester United. I know you were here in the studio and it was all kicking off. It was an absolutely bonkers game, wasn't it? From 2-0 up and cruising United to 4-2 down and heading out, and the fans heading for the exits against 10 men in extra time, just scoring 3 goals in 6 minutes to winning it and reaching the semi-final. Limbs, tears, bedlam, the lot at full time.
Incredible.
I mean, you know, this chat could have been going very differently if United had gone out last night. As it is, they're through to a European semi-final. Where's that fight, that passion, that character been all season?
Jules, I think it could be a sliding doors moment for the manager. You know, you look at it now, they've got an opportunity to go and deliver a trophy that would allow them to participate in European football next year, because they're not doing it any other way. You know, that could include Champions League football, which would change the dynamic for Manchester United in terms of the recruitment policy over the summer. So it was a huge result. You know, you go back to, and I'm not comparing, but you go back to Manchester United with Sir Alex Ferguson, was that moment where, you know, it just changed, and that was him. He went on a run after that. Manchester United are a long, long way away from that, but that last night could just be the moment that allows them to continue. You know, in terms of, you know, the recruitment is going to be key, and also if they are to, you know, see off Atletico Club and you know, win the trophy, obviously Spurs and Bodo Glimt in the other semi-final. In terms of that recruitment and being able to attract the players that, you know, Manchester United should be able to attract, it's going to help them. But you've got to say, what a game of football it is. From cruising. And that, you know, the 120 minutes probably summed up Manchester United season. You see the very good, the NC, you know, really, really bad, and then they finished the game strongly again. And, you know, fair play to them. They kept going, and they've managed to find a way to get through.
And Amorim, in his interview afterwards, you know, he referenced 1999. Now, clearly this wasn't a Champions League final, but as Chris hinted at there, Lee, in terms of a moment for him personally, and maybe for this Manchester United team, could that be transformative last night's result?
Yes, it could be. I mean, they haven't seen times like that for a good while. I mean, Boydie mentioned about the Sir Alex days, and, you know, it seems a million miles off, doesn't it? That sort of replicated some of the past times that we've seen at Old Trafford, and some of the great times and some of the great scenes. And, you know, for such a poor season they've had this season, since Amorim's come in, you know, this is the glimpse of light, isn't it, that might just see them, you know, bring some silverware there. I'm with Boydie. I think it's huge for them. They have to put every single thing into getting to that final, winning it, to attract players for next season, which might see a different outcome from where they can actually go and what they can actually produce next season, because, you know, all eyes are going to be on them again next season. Champions League could be absolutely massive for them, and that's why, you know, it tees up a really good semi-final for both sides. You know, Spurs as well. I mean, it'd be great to see the both of them in the final, wouldn't it? Considering both of them have had such a real low-par season. But I'm with Boydie. I mean, what a game that was. I mean, it was unbelievable, and it showed character, it showed fight, and that's what you want to see, and that's what the fans want to see at Manchester United.
Some of them, the ones that stayed.
Yeah, some of them. The ones that were still there, obviously. But, I mean, you know, it tees up a great semi-final, and that final could be, I mean, it'd be brilliant. I'd love to see that. I really would. 2 English clubs fighting it out for a final.
We're sorted. We've got tickets. Dawson said we're sorted.
Oh, was he sorted? Dawson sorted out.
We're all going, are we?
Yeah. He's got to get a call.
Thanks, Dawson.
Cheers, Dawson. Cheers.
Hey, they've got to get there first. We'll talk about Spurs in just a moment. Just finishing on Manchester United, though. So, you know, he said afterwards, all my eggs are in the European basket. Now, 6 Premier League games to go. He said, look, fans need to understand I might be risking the kids now in the Premier League. So, in theory, Manchester United are only 3 points above 17th place. Could finish 4th bottom in the Premier League. If they win the Europa League, is that OK? Is that fine for Manchester United?
I don't think it's OK for Manchester United. I think a team that's globally as big as what they are, you don't expect them to finish in that position in the league. But I think winning the Europa League, getting then into the Champions League, I think that's certainly important for recruitment. And you could see that was the case, you know, when they played against Newcastle. Newcastle were by far the better side in terms of the athleticism, the legs, the energy. Manchester United just couldn't cope with that. And you just wondered, how are they going to do in this Europa League? Because obviously I thought they were the better side in the first leg, but it was 2 mistakes, which meant they were going in on par. But the first half of that game was probably the best I've seen Manchester United play in terms of the way that they set out their game plan, they looked very organised on and off the ball. They targeted the full-back areas, and they just really controlled play. And then, like Boydie then said, then things happened. But they had to show that fight and that character. And you just think that is something that you're going to hang on to. I think Amorim must have known when he came in to Manchester United, obviously changing styles. He's not got the players that he wants to play his style. It was always going to be difficult. I think he wanted to come in and have a pre-season and bring in players that he wanted to bring in. But this is just so key. If they can go and win the Europa League, you're not going to say it's a positive season for Manchester United, but it's certainly something for them to build on.
It could in a way, because their objective probably to start the season was to qualify for the Champions League for the following season. So if they end up, I mean, it's been a poor domestic, there's no getting away from it, but if they have to win it, they're still going to achieve their goal. So, it could end up being a moment, but you look at Manchester United and they're still way off where they need to be.
I want to have a word about Tottenham Hotspur, so let's come to you, Michael. Not quite as dramatic for them, but an equally important win. The whole season was on the line. If you believe reports, Postecoglou's future in his job were on the line. They're through to the semi-final. All rosy in the Spurs garden now, is it?
I think I echo everything that the guys have said, and it relates back to Spurs as well. Two teams that have had terrible seasons in the Premier League, that we never expected them to both be in 14th and 15th in the Premier League. I couldn't ever imagined at the start of the season. But I think on the flip side, you look now what Ange has become under. He's become under an awful lot of scrutiny. And I think last night we'll have answered an awful lot of questions. This was his last chance, along with Manchester United and Amorim as well, because the league positions have been bad. But a chance to get in the Champions League. Boyd, you just said it with Manchester United. That would have been their focus at the start of the season. Could Spurs finish in a Champions League spot? And if they go on and win the Europa League, they've got to what they wanted at the end. I mean, this hasn't been acceptable. The performances, the things they've had to deal with injuries, all right, we can put that to a side. But some of the performances in recent weeks have been well below par. And I put that down to having an eye on Europe. All the eggs have been in this basket, and last night it came good for Ange, and I thought the way they played, a different way of winning the football match, very defensive, clean sheet. I mean, having Mickey van der Ven back, who I'm a huge fan on, has made a difference, but they did a job on Frankfurt, and not many teams can say that, because their home form has been magnificent.
But is it going to be exactly the same conversation and the exact same pressure heaped on Postecoglou when we come to the semi-final? Is it going to be he's got to win the semi-final or he's going to be out of a job?
I think it's coming down to that. I speak to a lot of Tottenham fans and the frustration. I mean, I see the performance at the weekend against Wolves, the mistakes. But I've said these players have to take responsibility as well. The players have not showed anywhere near the levels that they're capable of. But as a manager, what he achieved last year, and he achieved, there were 2 points off Aston Villa in finishing in the Champions League, so that was a disappointment. His aim this year will have been to try and get in the Champions League.
Because, if Spurs have to go and win this, there's no doubt, I mean, you'll know better than me, but there's a whole lot of negativity, around the whole football club right now. So if they win it, are you then giving Ange more money to go and spend in the summer to start again? Or is his job still under threat?
I think you have to, Boydie. I think if he brings a European trophy to Tottenham, and since 2008 have won no trophy. I mean, 4 teams left in it, very competitive. So it's going to be hard for him. Even now in the semis, but you get to the final.
Do you still think he can turn it around? The whole negativity that's surrounding the club right now. You listen to fans and talk like when
if he wins the Europa League, Boyd, 100%. In my opinion. Yeah. In my opinion, if he wins that, he has to be the manager.
If he doesn't win that, Dorse, that's what you've just said. That the season before that, they were close to 2 points behind Villa.
Yeah.
Do you obviously they've had them injuries that you've just touched on. Do they give him that time again, or do you think he's completely gone from that?
I think people are starting to get to a point where his time's coming to an end. I really believe that, and I've all season I've been behind Ange, but in recent times he's come under scrutiny. But the players, I still say, have to take more responsibility of what they're showing. But last night, Ange Postecoglou, and you see his celebration after. I love seeing that, because he's not a man with loads of passion and desire on the touchline. He stands there, he's composed, he sent the message out for the players to do. But I tell you what, after you looked at his backroom staff, Birch, goalkeeping coach, Wells, Ryan Mason, they were all in. They realised this could have been their last chance. I really believe that, Jules, that this was certainly it. But credit to them, they played well and got what they deserved, in my opinion.
And as he said afterwards, you stuck with me for a little bit longer, those who don't want me here. Could it be an all-Premier League final? Semi-finals first up, of course, and this is what the bookies make of it. They've got Tottenham Hotspur as the narrow favourites to go all the way and win it. Athletic Bilbao, who host the final, second favourites. Manchester United, third favourites. And Bodo Glimt, who, of course, play Spurs in that other semi-final. The Norwegians, in their first European semi-final, are the outsiders at 12-1.